All right, everyone, welcome to the party. Your host, Mark Texan, in the building, coming to you live for the Angular live stream. And friends, listen, all of the love and support that you have been giving us. I mean, can we just talk about how amazing you are? It has been so fantastic. We've been doing all these different live streams. I think this is our third week of live streaming on the Angular channel. We did 2 coding live streams. And so if you're interested in our coding live streams, go ahead and check out the Angular channel. You'll see more there. And you could also participate in the Building Agentic Apps campaign. Let me give you all some links or something. I feel like you need links, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You need some links. So we'll get you some links for the Building Agentic Apps campaign, um, which is great, which is super great. We've had a really good time with this, the Building Agentic Apps. Let's see. Can I find the link first? It's too many things happen at the same time. I probably should have had this for you before. Hold on. Let me give you a link. How do you use the internet? That's my first question is how do you use the internet? All right. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, this is a partnership that we have with the Flutter team, which has been great, which is to help developers learn how to build, agentic apps. So I want to put this URL in the chat just in case you want to join the campaign, which I encourage you to, because we're sending out cool resources and we're doing all these cool live streams, all with the goal of helping you to build the next generation of applications. Let's see who's in the building. All right, all right. What's up, Lars? I'm so glad that this is helpful to you as you try to, get your exercise and stuff in. Who else we got? Hockton, hello. Solat, what's going on? Solat's been in the building for the last couple of streams. It's great to have a new person hanging out with us. Q&A, huh? I got a question. What's up? What's up with you? You know what else is up? Jeremy Elbourn is up on the stage in the building. Jeremy Elbourn, what's going on?
Not a lot. It's a busy time. We just had our feature freeze for V20.
Oh yeah,
that's right. We do a feature freeze about a month before the release.
Yeah. Jeremy, you'd be so mad at me. You'd be so mad at me. I'm not gonna talk about the thing that I want to try to land still for V20. We'll talk about that later. But
no more features are landing. Documentation is still allowed.
Okay. Cool. Because John Prebesh says yo in the building. Bhavani, how are you? What's up? What's going on? Is any good? Okay, I see with the fresh new profile photo as well. What's going on? Good to see you, Alex. You definitely need links up. I dropped the link in the chat. That's what's up. So many people. Hello. Okay, well, we're gonna do something different today. Oh wait, let's see. You can ask a question here, and then we will answer best we can. But Jeremy's going to be live streaming and coding today. He's going to finish up something.
Yeah, I mean, we're coding, but it's mostly the coding is just to have something to do while we answer questions.
That's right. What up? Jeremy with the jump scare. What's up? What's going on? Hey, Gabrielle, what's going on? You're always in the building as well. That's fantastic. Let's see. I am going to add your question to the queue. So we have not forgotten about you. Hey, team. That's you again. Hello. Let's go. Inner engineering. Oh, thought-provoking. All right. Guru Raj. Hello, everyone. All right. Ooh, good question. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I mean, in the queue.
I have a question for chat, which is: does anybody have experience on like using Windows subsystem for Linux versus just dual booting into Linux? Because I've been trying to use WSL lately and like use WebStorm over the like remote WSL boundary, and it's not as nice as just like having everything local. And I'm wondering if I should just dual boot. Anybody do that?
So I can speak to the WSL experience, just using VS Code over the WSL boundary. I got that to work pretty easily because Microsoft gives a really nice plugin to let you connect to your WSL like as a VM/server, and that works pretty good. I can't tell the difference, but you know what I could not get to work was the Android emulator over the WSL server. I just didn't want to continue that journey because I was going to build some web apps with mobile apps with Angular native script, and Android. Did not work out.
Yeah. I see everybody in the chat is saying just dual boot.
Just dual boot, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the thing. But I like WSL in general, especially for web development. If I'm using VS Code as my editor, it is no problem for me. Like I have a pretty good. Oh, I forgot to turn on that light. Hold on. I knew I looked a little dim on camera. There wasn't like a ton of separation. I've got to turn on all the lights. Jeremy, why don't you share your screen and get started on your
So my WSL question was actually relevant to that because my little solitaire project I have over on my WSL environment, and I'm having a hard time connecting to it right now. So we can answer some questions and we can chat while this is trying to get set up.
Okay. Cool. All right. My favorite people. Wow. You're our favorite people. All right. We need 11. Oh, they're talking about your appearance on the show that I host, the game show that I host.
Oh yeah. So totally unrelated to our being on the Angular team. Mark and I were on a show called Lead Heat. Mark is the host of Lead Heat. He's the game show host of every episode, but I was a contestant on an episode.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And I didn't even know he's going to be on the show until later, which was really interesting because I wasn't expecting it. He's like, "Yay, I'm going to see you at the studio for the show." And I'm like, "What? What's going on?" And it was really fun though. Jeremy was really fun to work with in that context as well. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, let's see. Hey, Angular folks. Hello. Let's see. I don't know my question is right. Why React market higher as compared to Angular? Well, I think a lot of people like React. I think a lot of people like Angular. I mean, and then I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Okay, let's see. Hello, Jerome. Hello, bonjour, Jerome. I need to work on my French because my French used to be better than it is now. Now my French is horrendous now. By the way, I've been working with Angular 17 lately. Signals just comes in so smooth as it was with standalone components. Very good work. Thank you for noticing. We are very proud of the way that Signals have been seamlessly integrated for lots of people. And when you think about Signals as your way of organizing your state, it just really does simplify your application architecture in a lot of ways. Not in every way. It's not perfect, right? It's not, but it's really great for a lot of things. I think there's still some confusion related to AngularJS and Angular. I don't think we can do anything about that at this point. It's
been 10 years.
I'm gonna say we spent like 10 years just trying to disambiguate the two, and if people are still, I think it's become the same as like people who confuse Java and JavaScript, right? Like there's just a subgroup of people who are just going to keep calling those things like related technologies. I don't know if anything we can do about it.
Yeah, it does. It is wild though that it has been like 10 years. It makes me feel old.
Right? Well, Jeremy, we ain't no spring chickens, brother. Let's see. This is good feedback. Thank you, Stephen. So it says not only Signals, all the migration schematics and recent versions have been a blessing. We are so passionate about releasing tooling to help developers. So we're so glad to hear that this is working. Jeremy, can you tell looking at my lens that this is a different lens, or do I look the same as I always do?
I have to make my screen bigger. Let's see.
Because I want
your video always looks good, Mark. Yeah. I don't think I'm discerning enough to know the difference between these high quality lenses. You just look good no matter what.
Okay. I want to see more cinematic. You know what I mean? Like on camera, I want it to be like, is this a recording or a live stream? I want people to not be able to tell. So I'm going to keep working on it until I can get it to look like that.
So yeah, it's going to take a minute for my environment here to get set up. It's installing a new like WebStorm host on the WSL environment, and like my network connection on WSL is like super slow for some reason that I've tried to debug and it fixed, but now it's slow again. So we could just ask questions and chat casually.
Look, okay, wait. First off, before I answer this, I'm gonna say this. Look, I think it looks better. I think you look better. Thank you. That's fantastic. It looks very bespoke. It is. You all don't know the amount of time that I waste on this setup because I know that you all just care about the content and you just care that we're clear and like offering value. But for me, I cannot stop. Like it's like one of those hobbies that you get entrenched in and you just can't stop like doing stuff. That's what this has become for me.
Yeah, you got the rest of your AstroTurf up there.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and my camera's off angle a little bit. Let's see. It looking good, Mark. I think it's a piece of trim that looks like it's a hand cut. It's not quite straight. Where? Show me because I'll fix it. Um, yeah. I
But
don't know.
did you hand cut all of those with a circular saw?
I did. I did. I cut both of these, but I don't think any of the stuff that oh, maybe like down here at the bottom because my camera angle. I mean, it should be. You see how you can see the corner of my desk on this side. See, I need to like center a little bit more, but I'll do that another time. All right. Okay. So let's answer some questions while we do this because I think people are tired of my self-involved camera talk. Let's see. There was a good question actually about. Oh, I'll start here. Srijit says, "Can you Angular use for native mobile apps?" Yes, you can. If you want to do native, so mobile apps, there are two categories. There's like the hybrid apps, and then there are native mobile apps. So one of the ones that creates a native like binary that doesn't use web views is called native script. So they have support for all kinds of frameworks, but they also support Angular. So you can do with native script lots of cool things. The other option is a tool called Ionic, which gives you a launcher, so to speak, that like kind of lives on the device, and then you use like web views and web technology like inside. So you can do either one of those if you want to do that. But we on the team we don't have any plans for anything like an Angular native to compete with like React Native. We don't have any plans for that.
No, like maybe someday in the distant, distant future, if we solve all of the other problems.
That's right. We saw all of the other problems.
We've solved web development.
All right. All right. Answer this question, Jeremy. Will signal forms drop with Angular version 20?
No.
And scene.
They're not ready yet. Still in progress.
Still in progress. But it is really compelling to think about a form system to rule them all, right? Like that just removes it, ambiguity around which tool should you use, which one is better. You know what I mean? Like that'd be really nice. I wonder what our plans are. I haven't like done a ton of research into what our plans are for that, but really cool. Hello. I've been trying to test Angular resource, but I can't find ways to make it work. Flush effect doesn't work. Does anyone know how we can do this? Louis G. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this. I think this is a little bit too close into help me debug, which we can't help you debug anything on stream.
Yeah.
So this one is probably a good one for the Discord or Stack Overflow or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Check out Discord, Stack Overflow, or r/Angular. Like all of those are like really great places to get help. Somebody like Michael Small, for example, one of the community members, is like super helpful at r/Angular, for example, on Reddit. So like get out there, answer questions, and hopefully somebody be able to help. But good question. Thanks for asking. All right, let's see. Unit test component inputs when using router component input binding. Is the best practice to test input values to use component ref.set input through the fixture?
So I think we're actually introducing something in V20 that will solve this. I hope. I have to double check. But I think we're adding an API for test bed that lets you set inputs without needing a component ref. I have to double check on that. I'm not 100% sure it's in V20, but there has been some work lately on like making it easier to set inputs in different situations.
Sure.
And so that might be the thing here. I think in general, if you are unit testing a component, you would just want to make sure in your test you're using an API to set that input. And then the question of like, is my router actually like setting the right things such that they're flowing into components that like you could have your own separate test for that. Or you can have some sort of like more integration test. Doesn't have to quite be an end-to-end test, but like more of an integration test would cover that situation.
Yeah. Okay. A question: if my app uses web components like lit, how can I use the web components
Uh,
types?
you
I think the only
can't.
option is that you have to use custom element schema.
So this is an issue on our backlog. This is a known issue. We would love to fix it. Um, I can give you a little bit of history about why it is this way. It's that it's because when Angular was written, custom elements, I think, were still just even kind of like a proposal. They weren't a standard yet. And so there wasn't really a standardized way for like how to even like people like understood like how would you even do type checking. And so Angular added this API called like schemas on the component that is like, well, in the future, there will be some sort of schema for the types for custom elements, and we'll use that. And for now, we'll just add this like custom element schema, which basically just turns off any checking for saying like, this is an element I don't know anything about. And also at the time, Angular had its own types that it declared for DOM. And the world has changed a lot since then. So TypeScript has a good set of comprehensive typings for DOM APIs. And you can use TypeScript as well to basically have type checking for custom elements by adding overrides to things like set attribute and create element and things like that. You can kind of extend the built-in DOM types such that you can cover the custom elements as well. But in order to support that, we would need to switch Angular from its current DOM type checking to like actually just using the standard TypeScript types. And then you would be able to just include custom element type signatures among those standard DOM types and get type checking that way. However, this is hard because switching the type checking for DOM stuff from what Angular does today to like the standard TypeScript types is pretty breaking. There's a lot of code that has been written that kind of depends on the types as they are. And so even if we change them to something that is like technically more correct, people have written a lot of code that is expecting the old behavior. And so it becomes a breaking change. And those are really hard for us to roll out, especially inside of Google, because we have to go and like fix anybody who's doing it. And so it's on the backlog. I think it might even be in our top 20 of like project backlog, but it's not something that I would expect to see in like, the next, I don't know that it's something we would get to in 2025.
Okay. Good feedback. Sorry, Jeremy. I was locked in and out of that answer just because there were so many questions. And so let's just like power through some of these questions because we had a ton of questions.
Yeah.
And Kami Topper, listen, don't you worry. We answered your question. I saw you said we skipped it. No, we didn't. We got to you. We got to you, friend. All right, let's see. Please slow down. Angular releases is getting hard to follow with the latest features. Any analytics of adoption of signals?
We probably won't slow down the releases. Yeah. So, like, we go with our 6-month release cadence for major releases as kind of a compromise between wanting to evolve the framework and making sure we have like a very predictable cadence for like when major changes are coming. We've heard from a lot of large organizations that having a predictable cadence is actually the thing that is most reasonable. Like, believe it or not, like the twice a year is even like, going back to when I think like around like at the time Angular version 2 came out, right? Like the discussion was like, there were people who were like, we should be doing like a major release like every 2 months. And so the like every 6 months is kind of already a compromise on going a little bit more slowly. And we do everything we can to make sure that tools like ng upgrade and or ng update, I mean to say, and the kind of migration tooling and schematics that we provide help make it easier to go from version to version. And as well, like when we add new features, right? Like we want people to obviously like use the new features, but we keep the old thing working as well. And so like, even though signal-based inputs and kind of related APIs, that is the new default thing, the existing decorator-based inputs still work, and so you can update your Angular versions without having to like really migrate your code to follow the new patterns. And that's kind of our strategy, where people see the value proposition in switching over to things like signals or the inject function or anything else, then you can choose to do that based on that value proposition, even while your version is still updating.
Yeah, good feedback. Another thing I think, which is a less tactical answer, if we don't release stuff, then people like release stuff. If we do release stuff to say slow down, we can't really win this one. We just gotta keep doing what we, like you said. I think Jeremy nailed it with like it's a compromise. You get a lot of stuff. And Angular's like good, right? Like, have y'all noticed that? Like, we just get good these days. Like, I'm really enjoying being a part of the journey as like being on this team. Like, it's a lot of good stuff happening. Will incremental hydration become stable in V20?
It's on the list.
It's on the list.
I can't promise it won't get cut before the release, but it is currently on the list of things that are supposed to be in V20.
All right, let's see. I often use npm link to connect and debug multiple libraries in my projects. Do you think it would make sense to mention that in the creating libraries page? Oh, interesting.
Maybe file an issue.
Yeah. Suggestion. Do it. Oh, that's what you were talking about, John. Yes, I did. Every time I walk past that trim, I'm so proud of myself that I hand sawed like 20 something feet of trim. And it was, man, listen, the one thing I did not get right on that hand saw was those miter cuts. Those miter cuts are brutal, and I overfilled them with what do you call that stuff?
Putty?
Yeah, not putty, but the other, that isn't it. You squeeze it out in the tube with the trigger on it. Caulk, yeah. I overfilled them with caulk to like try to, and then the caulk contracted so you could see the cracks. So it's just like putty probably should have been like the right answer there, but you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it.
Yeah, but see, I appreciate, Mark, that you take a very creative problem-solving approach to what you're doing, because you're just trying to like get to the end goal. It's like, I have a vision, I'm trying to make it, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And I wish I had more of that attitude when it came to my projects, because I will be like, I need to make this like complicated miter cut.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have the tool to do that, so I better just order it.
Right. I mean, it's tough, but I had a lot of fun doing that. And now I have a circular saw, which I mean, still isn't the right tool for making that long cut, but it's better than like a hand saw. It's just like cranking it and getting it all jagged. Okay, let's see. Have you tried Links.js yet? Have not tried it, but I was actually going to comment this before Michael Small got involved and said the same thing. Somebody in the subreddit for Angular is working on it and has a proof of concept. For those who don't know, Links is just like another like web technology to mobile app, like multi-platform tool. It came from ByteDance, I think. I think they're the creators of it. It's cool. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting project. But I'm really curious, and this is my own thinking, of like, what is the next phase of that now that we have like code generation? You know what I mean? Like, will code generation come to like more mobile projects soon? You know what I mean? And then will it matter? You know what I mean? Like, can you just use Flutter and just get everything that you want? Right. But then I think what's really interesting, this thing I'm really thinking about is when can we start getting, like, when will we start getting PR requests that are like bug fixes that were like AI generated fixes that actually fix the problems? I don't know. Interesting space. So much to think about. All right. Hey, guys, I think we need some live streams on unit / end-to-end testing.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want to know? Ask questions about unit testing. I'll give you I have a lot of opinions about unit testing and testing in general. So I'll give you my opinions if you want them.
Yeah. I think so one thing that Devin and I have been doing are more like really going like through like the prepped streams of like, here's a problem, we're gonna do it. So when I was doing a stream last week, I really could have used some unit testing. I lucked out, Jeremy. Oh my gosh, I lucked out last week. Can I just tell you that I created 2 features in real time that worked the first time, and one of them was a recursion like base problem. And it worked the first time, and I could not believe it. But I really had wished that I had like a unit test, so that way I wasn't like guessing. You know what I mean? like that it'll work. I can just like rapidly iterate versus having to like restart the server, blah blah blah. So anyway, but yeah, that was wild. Last week was a lot of fun. Okay, hey folks, Angular plus Angular Material plus SCSS. What's a good AI coding tool? Cursor and Bolt seem good with React, Next.js, Tailwind, and so on, but I couldn't find anything for Angular. Try out Gemini Code Assist. And if you use VS Code, try that plugin. See if it works for you, because we've had a lot of good success with that.
Yeah, you're also asking Google employees on a Google official channel, so we're going to tell you to use Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini Code Assist is pretty good though. I used it during the live stream last week. So if you want to see Saif, like what it looks like to like use that tool, check it out on the last stream, because I actually used it during the stream to like get some of the work done.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: Gemini Web is an Angular app.
Angular for the win. Are you planning to support TS project references and potentially open up the compiler more?
I don't know what this like TS project references has to do with opening up the compiler more. Those seem like two different things. And I also don't know what open up the compiler more. Like, well, what do you mean open up? You want to add your own binding syntax? Probably not.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gathering more questions. All right, because we got a lot of questions. Jeremy, you probably not even writing any code because you've just been.
So I do have my IDE is actually up and running now, but it feels like we're getting good questions. So I'm happy to just let's just chat and answer questions.
Yeah, we could do that. All right, just appreciate the work put in to ensure Angular SSR apps have a smooth deployment on Firebase app hosting. The automation makes things simple. Wayne, first and foremost, thank you for that, because I'm one of the people who worked with the Firebase team to like give feedback and like test this thing. Like I ran some like internal stuff with them. We just like going through it and making sure. Firebase team has been fantastic partner with us to make sure that this is good. So glad you had that experience. And I have firsthand been like working on it to make, with them, like, not engineering it, but I'm just saying like helping test and stuff. So I just know that this is really appreciated by the Firebase team and by us. So glad. Yeah, use app hosting. App hosting is like a really cool way to get your applications working, and expect some more app hosting content.
Yeah. Also, just shout out to the Firebase team. Firebase team is great. Love the Firebase team. Some of my favorite people to work with.
Yeah, they are great. They are great. As a tech lead working for international banks, something we have been struggling a lot with is compatibility with legacy technologies such as Internet Explorer, ActiveX, and other platforms.
ActiveX in 2025? I think,
ActiveX.
is that still like, I vaguely remember hearing that like in South Korea in particular, it's still a thing because there's some like legally mandated software that requires it.
Well, ActiveX, yeah. Well, I mean, sorry, Luis, that doesn't sound as like favorable, but I appreciate that you're working on it and that you're using Angular to do that work. Good job, good job. Are there plans for resource signals to be a stand-in replacement for TanStack query, caching, retries, etc.?
We don't know. Like, I would say like to be determined. Like, how do I put this? Like, resource as it stands today is more of a pattern, right? Like the resource API, resource function, is like a building block for a particular pattern, and then you can build other things on top of it. And so we have this HTTP resource that is applying that resource pattern onto Angular's existing HTTP client. But the sky's the limit in terms of what you could do with that pattern. And you could probably even build a like resource pattern on top of TanStack query and kind of get like best of both worlds there. So the question of like, would we take that resource pattern and kind of like go even further and build a more sophisticated thing, like with like caching and retries in that? Like maybe someday, but it's not something that is kind of like on our immediate roadmap.
Okay. Can you mention something about the future of Angular? What are your plans for the future?
Boy, at what time scale?
I don't know. Let's say this year. What are our plans for this year? So we got 20 coming up very soon.
Yeah. So like within the next year, right? Like we are working on a new signal-based forms library, and I'm really excited about that. It's what I've seen so far is very cool, and there will be an RFC.
Let me ask you a real quick question about that.
Yeah.
Is our intention to have a third option or this be the option?
That's going to be information we'll talk about in the RFC.
Sure. Sounds good. Because someone asked a question about it, so I want to kind of
Yeah.
knock out two birds with one stone.
Yeah. I don't want to like. We will like. There's a lot of context that I think would go into this, and so if I start talking about it now, right, it begs more questions of like, oh, like if this is the thing, what's the migration story? What's the interoperability story?
Right.
Like I don't want to create any like fear, uncertainty, doubt. And so keep in mind, like we're very aware, like we don't want to cause churn for people. We don't want to cause breaking changes. We don't want to force people to do any migrations. And so we're very mindful of all of this. And so when we do the RFC, we'll be like very comprehensive in terms of the backwards compatibility story, the interop story, what does migration look like all of this, like we'll cover that in the RFC when we get there. So yeah, signal-based forms, that's one thing. We are also looking at kind of, I'll call this like explorations and prototyping around selector lists. And so, this would be like a pretty big evolution for Angular, which is like the ability to use components, directives, and pipes in your templates by directly referencing their TypeScript symbols. And we see the opportunity to make a lot of improvements there, but there are also some trade-offs we're making, right? There are things that people like about selectors. There's things that you can accomplish with them that are maybe a little bit trickier to accomplish without them. And so we're really taking a view here where we want to look at this deeply and evaluate the trade-offs that we're making here and see if we can give people a selectorless story that is an overall better set of trade-offs for most of the developers most of the time.
I had to fix my camera angle. It was driving me wild looking at the camera and just seeing it being so lopsided. I just couldn't take it. So I had to fix it. Okay, excellent question.
That's selectorless. Boy, there's other stuff too, right? Like there's also work going on zoneless. So we're pretty far along on zoneless.
Yeah.
And there's, I would call them some like odds and ends that we're dealing with now towards like moving towards the stability of zoneless. And I'll give a shout out to Andrew Scott on the Angular team who's been working on error handling, which has been like, I feel like Andrew ends up working on these like really difficult problems that don't sound very flashy, but are like actually very important. So he's been working on the error handling story inside of Angular because, with zones, zone just kind of handles like errors that get raised, any uncaught errors, I should say specifically, whether they're happening like synchronously or asynchronously, like zone just watches everything. And so it catches these errors and can forward them along to Angular's error handler. And in a zoneless world, you don't have zones to do that, right? So you end up with situations where previously, if you're using zones, you're relying on zone to do error handling for you. And without it, nothing is doing the error handling. And so those uncaught errors could like bubble up to the kind of global namespace and just like throw an error. And that's particularly bad in server-side rendering where an uncaught exception could just crash your server, which you definitely should be aware of at least and like potentially consider handling yourself. And so I'm looking at kind of like what is the kind of recommended error handling story in a zoneless world.
But shout out to zones as a technology, as an idea, and as execution. I mean, like the fact that we got so much value out of it for so long, it's just really incredible. And yes, we're gonna moving on to something different, but still, shout out to the engineering like prowess of like making that work. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty rad. Pretty rad.
It was it was a bold idea. I'll say that.
Yeah, it was bold. I mean, I always tell the story a different way. I always tell people like, think about how great it is to be able to have your state just update and you do not have to get involved. Like in your application, UI represents the latest state and you don't have to call a set state. You have to do anything. That is really cool. It's, we just found out at scale, we ran into some bottlenecks, but I still love the idea of it. Okay. I'm not sure what signal forms will be. Is that a third way? So that's why I asked you about this, Jeremy, but I think you answered that.
We will cover it in an RFC, and we'll have all the details, and I won't give any more spoilers now.
Yeah. Do you have a solution for null injector bugs at runtime? We have 7 million lines of code and do not provide en route to keep main bundle small, leaving us with issues with null
Yeah.
injectors.
So there may be a misunderstanding here actually about how provided en route works, because the whole point of provided en route is to keep your main bundle small. And I think I occasionally see this misconception sometimes, where if you say you have a service and I say provided en route, people will sometimes think like, well, if that's provided en route, it's always going to be in my main base module all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually not true. It makes it so that that service is only ever included in the module graph when anything that injects it is loaded. And so if you're using defer, if you're using dynamic imports, or any other way of lazily loading code, you are not going to be paying for any provided en route services that are not actually depended on by something on the page at that moment.
Cool. All right.
Good to kind of like going back one last thing, like in terms of like null injector bugs, that sounds more like a debugging thing. I don't know if it's like what the kind of the specifics of the problem you're dealing with are, but in general, right, like if you're using provided en route, it's kind of the best of all worlds.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for more questions. I'll give you another one, Jeremy. Let's see.
There's
when
one I wanted to answer. When will be the Angular v20 release? We have the date. It's on the calendar.
Yeah, we got the date.
I don't know. Do we normally say the date in advance? I never remember if we like.
I don't know. I mean, you could say the release date, but I don't like to say the event date. I like to keep people excited and surprised, when we have our event date.
It's going to be towards the end of May. I'll say that.
Yeah.
End
that sounds good. Okay, let's keep going to questions. Let's see. We get that one.
Highlight.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
I'm looking for it. What's going on with Wiz integration? So yeah, we were talking about roadmap, right, over the next year, and we are always a little bit working on our integration with Wiz over time and in the background. And so this year, like over the course of 2025, we've been working on actually having a like common dependency injection system with Wiz. And this is something that is going to be completely invisible to Angular developers outside of Google, because the like integrated solution pretty much just looks like Angular's dependency injection system. And so this is something that's going to bring us closer together with Wiz, but for sake of conversation here, it's more like Wiz is becoming a little bit more like Angular. And so for Angular developers, nothing really changes. It's more just kind of we're refactoring out some of like Angular's code to be in a common location so that both Angular and Wiz can use it. Cool. All right.
Yeah, I was on mute. I was commenting, but I was muted, so that's okay. All right, I've been using Angular since 2012 version 1, and I have ridden the coaster ride through every version up to current version 19. What a journey. Jocelyn in tech. Thank you.
Me too. I first joined Google in 2012, and that was when I started working on my first AngularJS project. And
2012. You've been here for 13 years?
In 5 days, yeah, it will be my 13-year Google anniversary.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm still but a babe at the Google years. I'm only 5 years in. I'm not like a 13-year, but I guess 5 years is like a pretty big like accomplishment too, in a way, because people don't usually stay like the tech market. Since I joined here, people usually do like 1 to 2 years at a job and then jump. I've been here for 5 years. This is the best job I ever had. I can tell people very transparently. Working at Google has been one of the best career experiences I've ever had, and I think that what has really contributed to that for me has been the people that I work with. I cannot stress enough how much I actually love working on the Angular team. And I think that if I had been on a different team, I don't know, what that experience would be, but I just know working here, like it's just a lot of joy. Like I love when we all get together. I love when we have events. I love when I get to see Jeremy in person, even if it's when he's eating hot wings and playfully antagonizing me on set. Like, like I just really do enjoy working on this team, and I think that I've been able to do some of my best work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I want to corroborate all of that. Like everybody on the Angular team is so great to work with. It's like just a phenomenal team. This is why I've stayed on the same team for over a decade. I first joined the Angular team in 2015. And so I've been on the Angular team for over a decade. And in that time, everybody who was on the Angular team when I first joined is now gone. I'm the only one left from that period. I think Alex Rickabaugh is has this he joined shortly after I joined the Angular team.
Yeah.
But like we have ship of Theseus, the whole Angular team in my tenure, and the team that we have is just like so great and so talented and so committed to trying to make this framework great. So
that's right. That's an excellent point. That committed to making this framework great. It's really underrated. Okay, what are 3 things you are most excited about in V20? Given the feature freeze, you must know. I feel the features in this release have not been really hyped. Is this a stability cleanup release?
there is I'm looking, I have up right over here on my laptop. It's like here's the V20 planning doc.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of items on this doc that are like stabilize this API, stabilize, stabilize, stabilize. And so to some extent, you're right. Like there is a lot of like stability going into this one. There's the new style guide. I'll say like this is a personal one for me because the style guide had been bothering me for years, and I finally was able to like get around to fixing it up. That is already live on next.angular.dev, so you can see the new style guide. And the like schematics and the ng-new like template have been updated for that. So I'm personally excited for that as just a Jeremy thing. What else? Yeah, there's other stuff. Oh, we got type checking for host bindings.
I was gonna say that for mine. That's what I like that a lot.
Yeah, that one has also been another one that's just been kind of like a thorn in my side for a while. And I'm really glad that Christian knocked that one out. There's more. You'll know soon enough. We're in the
you'll know soon enough. So I'll say this, and I really don't want to give away. I can't give away one of the things. Other thing I think you're going to learn in the next like couple of weeks because we're probably going to land it before then. But there is some. No, I don't even want to say that because then it's going to sound like different. I'm adding a new section to the documentation. I can say that. Okay, I can say that. I'm adding a new section to the documentation, which I think is going to be really exciting for developers, especially for what the long-term implications are of it. And so, Reina Hanekamp, if you watch this, don't put this in the video, okay, about what Mark said is coming to V20, okay? Do not put this in your video. I'll just say in general. But I'm really excited about that, like the type checking for host bindings, and then just some of the like stability updates to Angular. I just think it's going to be so great because I think for a lot of developers, they really do want to use some of our features, but they can't yet because maybe their engineering leadership says, well, we don't use developer preview features in production, right? Even though when they're developer preview, they're pretty good and pretty solid, but they still can change, right? And so
I will give the disclaimer here. We can still delete APIs that are in developer preview,
right?
And we have. I'll give maybe a heads up on this one. Is like we're very likely to delete the after render hook.
Just don't like it, huh?
And we want to keep after next render.
Yeah,
it's not 100% decided yet, but at the very least, we might change. Like if we do keep it, we would change it to something like after every render or after each render.
Each render, yeah. After each render, yeah.
I like after every render.
I mean, that's also very clear. But yeah.
But yeah, like there is like I do want to like actually be clear. Like developer preview like still can go away. Usually we use that instead of experimental when we're like relatively confident that API is going to stick around as is, but not 100% confident and we will occasionally for some API still fall inside of that small window where it's like, we thought we were going to move ahead with this, and then we, either in looking at how it rolled out in Google or seeing how the usage patterns evolved, we have realized like, actually this isn't 100% what we want.
Okay, let's see. We got a lot of other things. Let's see. Oh, cool. So number one feature for me is stable link signal, and number two is provide zoneless change detection.
Yes, it's no longer provide experimental zoneless change detection.
Yeah, that's really exciting. No, this is super exciting. Wait, what? The worst part about this call is that it looks like if you answer the question, you can't find them in the comments. So the question can be recorded. What are you talking about? How could I have pulled this out if it wasn't live? What are you talking about?
See, maybe that was just a test.
Also, I mean, so if this was to get us to pay attention to your comment, that's cool. But I will say this: I am 5K. You also got to remember that we stream to multiple platforms. So, are you checking on X and YouTube comments? Huh? Maybe. See, I can pull out random things like, how could I have predicted that Matthew would have said this, or how could I predicted that Saman would have asked us what are the things to consider upgrading Angular 18 project when going to V19? Will Angular V18 project still work when upgrade to V19 when your project in V19 is modular? That's a good question. Will it?
Honestly, I don't remember what changes from version to version once we get past the most recent one. But we have a great tool at it's update.angular.dev. So you can go to update.angular.dev. You put in your version you're starting from and the version you're going to, and it will give you a little guide on what changed and what you need to do. Most of the time, it should hopefully just be running ng update, and it will do almost all of the work for you.
Yeah. All right, Jeremy, let's pause on questions for a second. Do you want to write some code for a little bit? We've been talking a lot.
We don't have do you want to go till the half-hour mark or the hour mark?
For
like the stream.
Total length?
Yeah.
I can go as long as you want.
All right. I can write some code, but I feel like we got a lot of questions, and so it's easier for me to answer the questions if I'm not like trying to also code at the same time. So
listen, I am 5K. It's all good. That's why I laughed. I mean, we're not mad or anything. You're all good. You're all good. But now you know that it's real. Like that we don't just pick out the questions. No, you're all good. You're all good. Okay, the streets are coming in answering. Yes, it will. Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah. NG modules are not removed in V19. Don't worry. Yeah, you got it. Thank you for that. Yeah. You have been putting questions. Let's see. Hold on. I've been putting questions on every session but never get picked. So I doubt it. I mean, okay, if you put a question that is like a debugging your code question, then we don't really answer those types of questions. But put a question in the stream. We've already highlighted you a couple of times. So put another question. We'll answer your question. If it's a question that we can answer and if it's appropriate. All right. Let's keep asking questions. And since Jeremy is on the roll here, all righty, you got this. Let's see. Hi guys, is there a chance that the future will allow for custom at syntax functions and templates? Like, can we do our own like at, kind of like we do directives? I bet. I think that's what they're thinking.
Probably not. We generally are thinking so far is that we want to keep that reserved for things that are baked directly into the framework. It's tricky it would be tricky to support, or rather not necessarily tricky, but like expensive to support, because we have a template parser, right? And that template parser is producing Angular, like you can call them Ivy instructions, but there's like little JavaScript instructions that are happening for the custom syntax. And we could technically there's nothing stopping you from like creating a plugin system that's like, okay, for this syntax, here's the grammar, here's how to produce instructions for that. But then you kind of end up with this tight coupling of the plugins to the version of the instructions that are being generated. And that kind of gets complicated from a support range standpoint. And so our thinking right now is like that stays for like framework specific things, and then directives are really the way to go about adding custom behaviors in user space. I wouldn't rule it out as like a never thing, but for the foreseeable future, I don't see us like adding any sort of plugin system for this. Oh yeah, like that's actually another point I should make too, which is that library code, right? Like if you wrote library code with like custom syntax, then you kind of end up in the situation too of like, well, if I want to use this Angular library, I need to install the build plugin for the custom syntax that they also used, which can also kind of get complicated.
Okay. All right. So let's try to speed run a few questions because we're getting a little bit of a backlog here. All right. Let's see. What does it say? How was it when you decided to deprecate ngIf, ng4, and ng switch? Was everyone in agreement, or was there strong resistance?
It was always the plan to deprecate and remove ngIf4 and switch when we introduced the new control flow. It was just we wanted to give people time to get used to the new syntax and to like dip their toes in it. I'm not aware of us getting any strong pushback. I know there are some people who have expressed a preference for the original thing, but generally we have a much larger pool of feedback from people who like the more native control flow. And so we're just going to move ahead with that now. So this question, I think it's saying like, are signals tracked in run outside Angular? And so yes,
that's what that is. Okay.
Run outside Angular is just saying that zone, like it's saying to run an asynchronous thing, or maybe even a synchronous thing, outside of the context of zone tracking, but signals happen completely independently of any zone tracking of anything. So like any signal tracking of like reads and writes is completely unrelated to anything going on with zones.
Okay, good. Oh wait, and I did clarify something. Rana Hanakap, if you do put that video, I was being silly. Like I know you watch the streams and sometimes you put other things, but I thought about it like, oh, could that have been taken the wrong way? No, if you put it in, it's fine. I was just being silly. Hopefully it was humorous, but if it was not, I apologize. I don't want to be rude. Didn't mean to be, but you never know, right? Well, after next render and signal inputs work with unit tests? That's a good question.
Do they not? I think I mentioned something about this earlier, which is that I believe we're adding an API in V20 that makes it easier to write inputs in tests. Again, I'm not 100% sure that that's landing in V20, but I think it is. And so that will cover that part. For after next render, to my knowledge, I don't know what the problem would be. So if there's any more details there, honestly, like the best thing to do is like if you are having a particular difficulty with like you're using after next render and you're having a hard time testing that, filing a GitHub issue might be the right approach.
Yeah, let us know. All right, let's see. So what I meant was that the compiler has its own TSC implementation that does not support type check orchestration. I think that's what they meant there. I would imagine a better model would be that Angular would only be transforms on top of TSC.
Yeah, this is like something like this is kind of in our roadmap where we want to get away from being so like tightly integrated with the TypeScript compiler and be more of a lightweight stage in like that happens in addition to it instead of being like within it. And so something like that is like on our roadmap, but it's not, we don't have like the technical design figured out yet. It's more, we know we want to like decrease the coupling. So tentative, yes, maybe.
Jeremy, you know what I have not shown the people in a long time? I haven't shown them my metal growl for like my singing. I should do some metal vocals at some point. I'm not gonna do it now, but I should do it later.
Next stream, bring your guitar down.
I will. I'll tell you about this later. Okay, are there plans to expose signal values directly inside reactive forms?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
It is on the backlog, and it is in fact, I'm not going to give you the exact number it is on the backlog because it's subject to change, but it's very high in the backlog to do that.
Okay, are there plans for there to be an internal part of Angular core to deal with cookies rather than relying on third-party libraries, dealing with both server and client cookies from coding abroad?
No, we don't have any plans to do anything with cookies whatsoever.
Okay, what about this? Also, there's no way of using alternative bundlers. Where this Stefan says that we're a big bottleneck for the JS toolchain and mono repos at the
Yeah.
moment.
I'd say the best thing to do for this would be like file an issue on the Angular CLI repo with kind of the problem that you have here, and that's probably the best place to have a conversation about that. I'm not the most personally knowledgeable on like the whole bundler story. The CLI, the part of the Angular team that works on the CLI are going to be better equipped to talk about that. So yeah, so file an issue and probably get some good conversation over
We
there.
should do that. I should bring on like Doug like one day to like just answer questions about tooling on the stream.
Yeah.
That'd be rad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good idea. Good idea, Jeremy. Are you planning to add more UI components to Angular material libraries like Prime and G0 have 50 plus components out of the box? I don't know if this is aligned with our vision, Jeremy.
Not a lot, no. So this is mostly a symptom of Angular material being a library that's used inside of Google. And so UI components that are used inside of Google have a really high maintenance cost, much higher than for a normal open source library. And so why is that, right? It's because the majority of Google is famously there, and there's an ACM white paper about this, is like one giant monorepo. And that is, I think outside of Google, sometimes people use the term monorepo for a very large repo. And that is not the case here. Like Google is genuinely like a monorepo in that the source code for everything is in one repo and it's all built from hand all the time. And so what that means is that like Angular is checked into Google as source code and is built with application code all together. And what this means practically, like why am I talking about this for UI components? Is because whenever we make a change to any UI component, that change can be very breaking because there are thousands of applications that will get that change immediately. And so if you were to say, even just like change the height of a button by 2 pixels, that's a massively breaking change because there's going to be some number of applications who have a layout where that like, oh, that 2 pixels is the thing that pushes it over the line so that something now breaks or wraps and you've broken their layout. And so there's a lot of work that has to go into making even small changes to the components.
Yeah.
And we just like, the reality is like the team is the size that it is. And we don't have like, if we were to add a lot more components where like every component increases our maintenance cost and we just don't really have enough people on the team to like cover the maintenance cost for like 50 plus components in that environment where it's really hard to make changes to them. And so we are looking at doing more on the components front in terms of like, what can we give you to empower you to build more custom components yourselves very easily? They may not be the same kind of like, I'm just going to take this like off the shelf material component that has all of its styles and animations and everything right away, but can we give you a bunch of the building blocks to build components yourselves in a way that's like still really easy, still getting the accessibility right, but not quite that same kind of like high maintenance cost component.
All right. I want to warn you, that was not a speed run question though. So we got to get speedy if we're going to get through all our questions.
There's some questions that have a lot of hidden depth and context.
That's fair. That's fair. So in my opinion, the Angular job market is shrinking. Are there any initiatives to try to change this beyond being more newbie friendly?
I would say like the thing we are focused on is like making Angular like the best framework it can be, like making it the best product we can make it, and making the onboarding and learning experience new, like promoting it. Ultimately, we're not the ones who are going around making hiring decisions anywhere. So there's a limited amount of influence we would have over that. But
right.
like I would say like my focus at least is like we're going to make like the very best framework that we can make,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's where we'll keep our focus. I don't know if Mark, you have anything you want to talk about on
I mean,
that?
all I would say is that I think that if we continue to make the best like tool, make it the best tool that it can be, the best framework, you know, it's an attractive solution for people, right? And that's all we can really do is just make it the best it can be, and then I don't know. I mean, I think about this idea about the job market and annual job market because I just think about developers and I care about developers and I care about people having jobs. So I do think about this, but you know, I'm not sure that one there's anything that we can say specifically that doesn't. You know what I mean? That like what can we actually say that isn't? Somebody can be like, well, the Angular team said this, right? Like that much we can actually specifically say about it, but um, I think Jeremy nailed it. So I'll say that. I said a lot of nothing, but okay, let's keep moving. I just was rambling. All right. Is Vite environment API considered to make possible run Angular in other platforms?
I don't think that's something that would be supported today, right? We only use Vite in Angular for the dev server.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that environments API would be something that applies. We get questions about Vite support and the integration pretty often. So it's something where we're often thinking about, but it's not something that I have like any more to share about at this time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gathering some more. Let's see. I'm grilling and chilling. That sounds good, world. Grilling and chilling. I'm excited to get out. I have a goal in my heart to be like the type of like griller or like barbecue dad that like the whole neighborhood is like, oh, Mark's cooking, I'm there. Right.
Yeah.
Like I want to be that dad. I can't even lie to you. I want to be that dad. The whole neighbor's like, oh man, Mark's cooking. I'm coming to his backyard, So
Yeah.
good for you. All the things. All right, we got so many things to chat about. Let's see, more questions. Are there any other developer preview candidates to remove?
There was one we were going to remove. It was a test API. What was it? Maybe it was experimental though. I think it was flush something.
Mm-hmm.
It was like flush effects or something like that. I think that's just going to get
removed.
removed.
Yeah, Matthew said something. Matthew said,
yeah, flush effect.
Was removed.
That's being removed.
Matthew, are you on the top of a mountain in this picture? That's my question. Because I look at people's profile pictures and I'm like, is that the top of a mountain? That's I don't know. It looks amazing. It makes me want to go on vacation. I need a vacation. You just want to go on holiday. I wonder where you are. Don't tell me where you are, but just say if you're on the mountain or not. Okay, so we talked about this. Let's see. Oh, do you recommend using inputs and output directives and deferrable views?
Using inputs and outputs. I mean, you can use anything in deferrable views. They're meant to give you kind of that nice experience of just working with them like they're anything else in your template, but the code is deferred. So use whatever Angular features you need to use or would want to use.
But I think Ezekiel is kind of speaking toward like maybe because the thing is deferred, that the input and output bindings, is there any impact to input output bindings in the deferred block? So you see what I'm saying? If I'm passing in input values for my parent component, but the deferred component has an input that I'm passing to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it will all work fine. There's no my input would be like write it the way you would normally write it. It's just that the code is going to be deferred.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. We need a Shad CN type library for Angular to make UI development a breeze. You go ahead. Look, the development gem by Parth. Cool name. All right, you make that. Go ahead and make it. That's what we're trying to get with the CDK, so you can just make beautiful things like that. Right? CDK empowers you. And then guess what? When you want your complex like UI interactions that are accessible by default, like wouldn't that be amazing? And you just provide the beautiful UI on top of it. Make it. Is that the wrong answer, Jeremy? Should I not say that?
Well, I'll say, I mentioned earlier, right? Like on the components front, we're thinking about how do we give developers the building blocks to build UI component experiences without having that same maintenance cost. And I'll say the Shad CN is something that we've looked at quite a lot and is, a little bit of an inspiration for some of the ideas that we're considering on that front.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you. Let's see. Oh, let me answer this one. I would like to see an update on Angular dev tools, like modern features, like Open IDE from dev tools. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. Um, do other dev tools do this? Can you, like, from the browser open a file in the IDE? Is that possible in other dev tools? If it is, let me know. I want to see an example of this. I would love to just see that workflow. But we do have some updates that something dev tools related, I can say, to look out for an upcoming release. But that's all I can say. All right. Let's see. I have been an Angular trainer for the last 3 years. Hey, I'm 5K. Thank you for teaching Angular. But these transition phase with the demand of AI integration compatibility is creating instability. Your comment for new developers who are starting now. I want to answer this first before Jeremy takes a crack at it because I have a lot of feelings about this. So, what should you do if you are starting now and you're doing web development? In my humble opinion, if I were starting today, I would still learn how to code because here's what the difference is. So, like, if you get anything, like any code that's generated by AI or whatever, if it does not work as intended, how will you know? Right? How will you know that it does not work as intended? And then here's another thing. What if, there's some alteration that you want to make? How will you make those alterations if you don't know how to code? So I think that what becomes interesting is still knowing how to code, but I also think you should expand your knowledge base. I think a lot of developers spend time focusing on software engineering as like the code, hands on keyboard being your primary like value add. I do not think that that proposition will remain the same forever. I do think your ability to architect systems will be increasingly valuable. I think your ability to understand design patterns will become increasingly valuable. And I do think your ability to debug code will become increasingly valuable because you still need all those very core skills to do things. That's my humble opinion, but I would love to hear Jeremy's take on this.
I mean, I think I mostly agree with you there, Mark, right? Like, I I think like the LLM based tools are like they are just that, like they are a tool. And right, like I think about as, like I have my hobby as woodworking and I work a lot with tools and different types of saws and screwdrivers and whatever else. And they're all tools that have a certain purpose. And so like in the case of coding, like an LLM tool is good at certain things, but it's the responsibility of the user to know what it's good at and what its limitations are. And so use it for how it's valuable and don't use it for when it's not valuable or not going to help you. Um, Build your skills such that you're the one taking advantage of the tool to do, make the tool work for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Totally think that. Okay, let's see. Rishu, I see you in the chat. We're gonna get to your question. There's a lot of questions. We're gonna get to you. We have not forgotten you. We have not forsaken you. Why is Angular moving towards SSR? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, so I would maybe like reframe this a little bit. It's like moving towards SSR is like more making the SSR story really smooth, easy to use, and fast, right? Um, for anybody that wants to continue doing client-side rendering, right, that will always be an option, right? Like there will never be a flavor of Angular or a version of Angular where it's like you must server-side render. Like that would never happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know that server-side rendering is one of the like absolute best things you can do to get kind of the highest performance applications. And so if you want to have that performance, then server-side rendering, like there's really no choice but to like do some sort of server-side rendering or like some like build time pre-rendering SSG, something like that. And generally we know like there's never a one size fits all solution for everything, right? Like there are some products where like, yeah, you don't need to server side render that. Client side rendering is fine. You don't need the additional complexity. You don't need the additional server cost. That's fine. But that's not for every product, right? Some products do need that performance. And then for some situations, server-side rendering is going to be the best fit. For some situations, the SSG is going to be the right fit. And it is really a product level decision about like which combination of these technologies, which patterns, which practices are going to be the best fit for the product you're trying to build. And we want to make sure that you have the best possible tools to put together to get the experience that is going to work the best for your users.
That's right. That's right. All right, friends. Let's see, Jeremy. I can go a little bit longer. A couple more questions, maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, I got
Okay,
time.
let's keep going. Will there be HTTP resource APIs for post calls?
I don't know yet.
Yeah. Okay.
TBD.
TBT. All right. Okay. Here's a good point. Hey guys, about chat CDN questions, you can use NG Spartan. I've not used this. I've not seen it, but our friend Ole is saying that this is a chat CDN alternative for Angular and
Okay.
is using
Yeah.
a CDK. Cool.
I
See, the
hadn't heard of
people
it
want.
before, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, sounds cool. Jeremy, what is your appetite for us to like try open source projects on stream like coding? But see, I think the hard part about that is it can be seen as an endorsement. And if we don't have a good experience, I don't want anybody to feel like we're saying their product is bad, right?
Yeah, that's I could be particularly guilty of that because my default mode of operation, um, when I'm like looking at new code or like looking at a new thing, I'm like, what is this? What's this nonsense? And then as I go, I'm like, oh, okay, I see why it's like that, or I understand why it's that way. But like
Yeah.
default, it's just like, what is this?
Yeah. What is
And
this?
that could come across as maybe a little overly critical.
Yeah, because I would love to like try more stuff on stream just to see what the community's building. But I gotta talk to legal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna talk to legal and see what the guidelines are for us to do something like that. Because I do think it'd be fun. I really do think it'd be fun to just try out libraries. But I don't want to be misinterpreted or misconstrued that we are endorsing or the opposite of endorsing, right? Saying don't use this thing. We don't want to be in that business. That's not interesting for us. Are there any news about Nitro support with the Angular CLI?
We are like looking into like what are the features of Nitro that would be valuable for incorporating into the Angular CLI and looking at like how much work would it be to integrate that? What are the trade-offs? And then we're going to make a decision on what to kind of do moving forward. So we're in the phase where we're like investigating Nitro and we'll be making a decision at some point in the near term.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 Let's see. What's your guess, Jeremy, on the number of apps that use Angular material in that mono repo?
Oh, almost all of them, right? Like nearly 100% of applications inside of Google use Angular material.
Yeah. Here's a question: what is the appropriate way to use environment variables? In variables, in the recent updates, we don't have them anymore, and security audits config files get flagged. Please share your approach. Do we have any guidance
Um,
here that we can just like general guidance?
I actually don't know anything about this.
So I know something. I actually do know something about this. Okay, so if you're talking about environments.ts, you can still generate that. So because it said it was removed in recent update, because by default we no longer generate environments.ts, you have to use a generator like ng generate environments, and then it makes them for you in the right place. If you want to use environment variables from your like environment, which is where you should put things like API keys, like in environment. Well, not put them in your app code. I should say that. Don't put them in your app code. We know that. So if you use something like Firebase app hosting, there's a secrets manager with Firebase app hosting that can help with that. So not telling you got to use app hosting. What I'm saying, like that's one solution for that. Something to think about. Friends in the chat. Um, see if you have any feedback of some of your approaches. Also, I want to shout something out, and this is super important to me because I really appreciate this work. All right, so two things, two places that I have noticed recently, not the only two places. All right, I'm not telling you to do this more than any other thing. I'm just going to call out two places that I've seen. The Angular Discord is incredibly helpful. The questions channel, oh goodness, is it helpful? Like I was just reading it the other day because someone tagged me in a question. Don't tag me directly in questions, please, because one, you don't know when I'm going to get back to you, so it might be mission critical, and you're gonna be waiting for me. But um, the fact that the people, the moderators there, and the community members there are really active, it is really fantastic. Then the second thing is, I see a lot of people having really good feedback on r/Angular, and of course Stack Overflow. So those places, like post your questions there and like let people support you, because we have some. I will tell you, it is amazing how many Angular experts there are out there who are so willingly giving their like expertise and time to help. Like it's amazing, and there are other community spaces as well. So I'm not trying to highlight some or the other. I'm just saying something I learned recently. But there's like Angular space. There's like stagnation. There's so many places where there are Angular experts hanging out that are really happy to help you. So don't forget to use your resources. Okay, speaking of people who willing to help, Michael Small I've seen is a great person who helps people a lot too. I have seen a lot of activity going on with the DevTools PRs in various stages. Is there anything cooked up enough that you might want to give a shout out for? I like the recent on push marking for comps.
Honestly, I haven't been following this super closely. I know there's been some work going on DevTools in order to make it so that Wiz applications can also use Angular DevTools, which is not interesting to this audience, but I'm genuinely like, I'm not in the loop, and so I don't know what other features have been going on there.
Yeah. What's up, Joy? Coming in from Nairobi. What's up? Let's see. I'm trying to get through some of the questions because there are some more. Oh, okay. We get this question all the time, but we'll answer it again. Let's see. Okay, we'll do that one too, and then I think we'll get close. I think at the half-hour mark we'll call it for today.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we answered that question. Cool. Now, what about selectorless components and removing double imports? We're working on it.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the stream of it's in progress, right? We're doing some refactoring inside of the framework to make it so that we can start playing around with selectorless, and we'll, be able to hack on it a bit and learn more.
Yeah. Jeremy, can you say anything? And it's okay if you can't. Can you say anything about why this isn't turnkey to just be like, yeah, just do it, right? Why isn't it just something we can just do?
I mean, like all code systems, there are certain assumptions that are baked into how, there are certain assumptions baked into how the framework works.
Yeah.
And it requires refactoring to get rid of those assumptions when those assumptions are things like components have a selector and selector matching happens at Angular startup. And every component has a host element, which, may or may not continue being true. Like that is still a decision that is up in the air. So all of
Yeah.
these things are, on the table in terms of consideration for selectorless, and we have to kind of iterate through all of the possibilities to see if we can come to one of those possibilities that is an approach we want to move forward with.
Yeah. All right. Now that we have signal inputs, effect, and computed, do we still need NG-on changes, or will it be deprecated soon?
So it probably won't be deprecated. You probably don't need it. If you go back to the original signals RFC, we had this idea in there for basically a component that specifies signals true, which would be a way of enforcing that a particular component is only using signal APIs. And so if you set signals true, it would be like, okay, your inputs have to be input signals, your queries have to be signal queries, have to use the new output API, which is not a signal, but is a similar API. And part of that would also be that it would remove the lifecycle hooks for all of them except for on init and on destroy. All of the other like ng-on changes and do check and after content checked and after after view init, right? All of those would just go away in those components that were marked as signals true. And so that is probably the direction we would end up going at some point. We're not planning on landing that signal true anytime soon, but that would probably be the direction we would go instead of deprecating any lifecycle hooks that we have today.
Okay, what about signal debugging and route visualization in DevTools?
There's been a little bit of movement on this, but it's from some part-time contributors, and so I can't make any commitments about the speed of those features coming along.
Yeah. Wait. I'm praying for the removal of selector host element. I love it.
See, it's complicated, right? Because then what does that mean about directives that exist? Because every directive in the world that's been written today makes an assumption that it's going to be on a real DOM element, and or may make an assumption that it's going to be a real DOM element. And what do you do if that starts not becoming the case in a lot of places? And so we're very mindful of not wanting to fragment the ecosystem to where there's like selector Angular and selectorless Angular, and they don't mix very well. Like that's not really a situation we want to find ourselves in.
Yeah. I want to shout out somebody who came back to the stream for after a while. Subcomandante, what's up? Good to see you again. Welcome back. Hey, Jeremy, you you explained very long. It helps, but you have not his question yet. Wait, where's your question, Arjun? Did we miss it? Because I think we only have. I thought people. Okay, Arjun, I'll be honest with you. I thought that you got your question answered by the community. So that's why I did not pick your question. So, friends, if the community answers your question, I usually will skip it because people are helping you. Okay, please, guys, in live, can you say about the OG meta image dynamic meta tags on standalone? I need a bit more explanation, please.
I have no idea what this is.
Oh no, me neither. Actually, I feel bad, but
yeah, I have no idea what this is talking about.
yeah. Oh, see, somebody else said something similar. Like I think for trying stuff out, maybe not officially on the Angular channel yet. I not, but even with that, I have to be very careful. If I were to do it on my personal YouTube channel, I have to still be very careful because people are like, hey, that's Mark from Google. You know what I mean? Like even if it is my personal channel, so I still have to be very mindful that it'll be received in hopefully the right way. Let's see. Open grab header meta tag. Yeah, see, I don't know. Oh, he said that's the third message. Okay. I feel terrible because I literally thought that they were helping you. What's your question? All right.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like most of these are about like the metadata service, which I honestly don't know anything about, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a piece of code that is probably close to 10 years old. And what I would recommend is like if there are some issues or some limitations with that service, file an issue on GitHub with all of the details of what you're trying to accomplish, what's not working, and that's probably the best way to get more information about specific instances or issues like this.
Yeah. So this is a question I think that we started with. What is the best way to handle dynamic meta tags like OG image different for different post in a deployed site using standalone Angular? So friends in the chat, if you have an idea about this type of thing, that'd be great. If you can yeah. I don't know about this myself. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know anything about this like dynamic meta tag situation. If there's some limitation of Angular's metadata service that is not working with some new pattern or some new web standard, like file an issue on GitHub. That's
yeah.
the right move there.
That sounds good. All right. Question. I think this is our last one. I'm currently setting HTML fetch by API into inner HTML and using native DOM calls to tweak it, but I love to handle those elements with Angular View Child or similar. How to do this?
You cannot. So Angular maintains its own internal representation of the application, and that representation is based in terms of what Angular calls like views, which is components and directives and other things like that that construct this tree. And if you put any just kind of like manual DOM in there, Angular's internal representation has no knowledge of that. And so the only way for you to work with that is just by using the normal DOM APIs like query selector. So there's not really a way to do this, right? Like Angular would need to know about that content at compile time in order for it to work.
All right, we got some feedback. We should not completely remove the part where Jeremy is live coding. I agree to that.
Yeah, I'll live code next time.
Yeah, I might have to bring you back before June because I'm trying to slowly increase our frequency of live streams because I think they're very valuable for the community and for us as well. But that also is until I do another like live stream where I get completely jammed up and can't complete my application. Then I'm gonna be like, I don't want to do this anymore. All right, Jeremy, let's wrap it up. Okay, friends. Jeremy, what are you playing, watching, and reading?
Blueprints. Oh my goodness, I'm playing Blueprints, and it's really good. It is a mystery game, and I feel like the most I can say about it is that it's really good without spoiling anything else. But it's like kind of a mix between The Witness and Gone Home, but also the board game Carcassonne and like roguelikes, like The Binding of Isaac.
Yeah,
So
okay. I don't like roguelikes, but yes.
yeah, like it's a really innovative mix of these different concepts, and I'm uh, really captured by it. And I recommend it to anybody who likes like mystery and puzzle games.
Okay.
If you like kind of like unraveling a broad and deep mystery, um, but it is like I would say like this game probably doesn't have like very mass market appeal in that like I don't know that it's for everybody if you don't have the patience for it. It does require a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's what you're playing. What are you watching? What are you reading?
I'm reading When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi,
Oh,
which
I
is
want to read that one. That's on my list. I saw it recently. So yeah.
yeah. The premise of the book is, hey, what if the moon just suddenly turned into cheese? And I like my read on it is it's like it's almost like a satire of The Martian,
Oh, sure.
where it's like this very like NASA engineers are like we're gonna work the problem, and that problem is just absurd.
Okay.
And
Okay.
watching,
Yeah.
let's see, I don't think I've been watching anything other than Dropout lately, which I'm always talking about. They've got some new shows, but season 19 of Taskmaster premieres today. And I'm very
Ooh.
excited about that because American comedian Jason Mantzoukas, who you might know from
Oh, I know Jason Mantzoukas. Yes.
Parks and Rec and The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, is going to be
Yeah.
on Taskmaster. If I made my dream Taskmaster cast list from the whole time I've been watching it, Jason Mantzoukas was always the top of that list, and now he's going to be on
Wow.
it, and I'm very excited about it.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay, very fantastic. Let's see. Reading, I'm going through the novellas for the Murderbot series. They're very good. It's just, I just really love the conceit of the sec unit. Just not liking to be interacted with. You know what I mean? Like I just love it. It's so good. So I'm on book 3 at this point. They're really quick to go through. So I'm on book 3. That's pretty good. What am I playing? Nothing. Guitar. That's what I'm playing. Playing guitar a lot. I just started a little self-imposed challenge where I'm spending like 75 days of just like hardcore practice, and I haven't practiced that hard in a long time. And so my fingers and wrists are a little sore because I'm like, man, I usually do like a 15-minute practice to stay fresh, and this is like actively like hardcore playing like I used to, and it's getting there, man. It's definitely intense, but it's good. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe at the end of the 75 days, I'll bring my guitar down and I'll play on stream or something. And then watching, I'm really watching NBA basketball. That's what I really care about right now. This is a playoff season. My team, Golden State Warriors, are up 3-2 against the Houston Rockets, and I'm rooting 100% for the Warriors to take it home and head to the next round. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, so that's what's up. All right, Jeremy, listen, it's been so much fun. Friends, here's what I need from you. Okay, we got 3 action items for you. Why don't you check out the Building Agentic Apps campaign? I'm gonna send that link in the chat one more time. Check it out. Join the campaign. Register to use Angular. You know what I mean, and just like build some apps. And then because the campaign is going to end in a couple of weeks, but get involved. Watch the streams that we put on last week if you want to know how to get started. Second thing is this Google I/O is coming up, which is super exciting. If you've been to the YouTube channel, you saw that our header is now Google I/O. Google I/O is May 21st through like the 23rd. So just a few more weeks. If you are going to be at Google I/O by any chance, come and say hello. Angular is going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and some other people from the Angular team will be there. So it'll be really exciting to meet you folks. And then let's see. Finally, what was the last thing I was going to ask people to do? Oh, Angular version 20, the most important thing. Angular version 20 is coming out this month. All right, in May, and we had a very, very special Angular developer event going to be dropping right after the release. So you definitely want to be in the building for that. Jeremy, any last words?
Hopefully, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you can enjoy some nice May weather.
There you go. Friends, no matter what you use, you got to remember that we think everything is great. But what we care about the most is that you get out there, you go build great apps. We see you the next time. Peace.